right, this is a concealer.
When I'm like this, I get the makeovers. I feel like me. A lot of times I have to hide me because I don't know how people are going to feel. Being a teenager that's transgendered on the street, there's a lot of dangers involved because streets are not the best place for anybody. But when you start playing in the fact of being trans and being on the streets, it's a whole nother ball game out there.
In any given year in Austin, roughly 900 people between 18 to 24 years old are homeless. Until recently, Rachel was one of them. About 40% of Austin's homeless young people are LGBTQ. Their sexuality often is what forces them out of the comforts of home.
LGBTQ youth run, certainly the same risks and very arguably greater risks for the kind of trauma and abuse that often happens with young people on the street. These are youth who have very often been rejected and been rejected multiple times.
Foster parents will find out that the kid they're fostering is LGBTQ and decide they don't want to care for that child anymore. And so usually that kid ends up back in the foster system where higher rates of violence are pretty common. And so a lot of the time what you end up seeing is these kids run away from the foster care system, may end up resorting to survival economies like sex work or drugs.
I first realized I was transgendered. I was about 11, and I was adopted, got kicked out of my adopted parents' house when they found out. I originally was on the streets when I turned 16. The youth, such as myself or any other trans youth, feels like they could do better on their own, away from being judged. They end up going into, again, I don't really like using the word, but it's prostitution, just to survive. And a lot of them end up in jail or dead. I've had several friends that I knew that was killed on the streets that were transgendered.
What causes the extra vulnerability is prejudice and lack of tolerance. So it is absolutely essential that we have, well-publicized, accessible, safe spaces where they can go and reach out and be safe.
Through a street outreach program, Rachel found a safe space with LifeWorks, one of several nonprofits joining forces to find new ways of tackling the problem of young people with no place to call home. An infusion of $5.2 million from the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department is helping. The ultimate goal is ending youth homelessness by 2020. Right now, Rachel is one of the success stories. She's in college, sharing an apartment with a friend, and looking towards the future.
That's my future right now, is just getting to graduation.
Rachel's dream is becoming a therapist and counseling other transgender young people who can't afford steep bills for therapy.
Me, personally, I can't afford $800.
Who can?
Right? So I got thinking, so why not go back to college, get my degree in psychology, become a counselor, and volunteering my services to trans youth that want to further their transition, but don't have the means or the finances to do so.
Are you ready, or you just want to go in the bathroom?
A lot of times when I have to hide the true me, which y'all are seeing now, I'm not happy. I have less confidence. I go into almost like a depression because I'm not happy that I have to hide who I truly am.
So everything that I use today, I'm giving to you.
So when I'm like this, now I feel like me.